Hi, my name is Ramiro Alarcon, and today we're going to be going over reporting and practice management. We're going to be going over how to navigate the Reports tab and how you can view existing reports and generate your own reports containing information such as client reports, staff member reports, engagement reports, time and expenses, invoicing, AR details, and work in progress reports. All right, to get started, let's go and navigate over to the Reports tab. The first thing you'll see here is the accounting/WIP reports. Here you're going to find some standard reports, about 5 standard reports where you can view common information about your WIP by engagement, by labor code, or staff member, as well as your invoice, AR aging details, and a summary of your invoice write-up and write-down. Okay, to view one of these reports, basically just click on the report name, and it'll generate the report for you on the screen. The next tab we'll see here is the My Memorized Reports. Any reports that have been memorized here in IPM will be located here, so that way you can easily access those. So reports that you're going to be using on a daily basis, weekly or monthly basis, you can memorize them and save them to this screen here or this tab, so that way you can easily find them when you're ready to use them. You will see the company/accounting report groups, and then I have some reports that are memorized to that report group. Then I have a time and billing report group, and I have one report that's been memorized to that report group. You can add additional report groups under the Add Report Group tab. Here we'll see the company accounting reports group and the time and billing report group. To add an additional one, click on the Add button up on the top. Type in your new report name. The notes section here, you can enter a description for the report group, what it's about, or you can enter some notes here if you like. And then next we set a report access. By default, it's set to not active. Currently, the only selections here that are in use is all staff and system administrators. For this webinar, I'm going to go ahead and select all staff and then click Save and then hit Cancel after you hit Save. And now we'll see the new report group listed here with my other reports. Now, let me show you how to memorize a report and save it to this new report group. I'm going to go to the Reports tab, System Reports, and for this demonstration, I'm going to just select one of my standard reports here, timesheet summary by date range. And to memorize it, click on the little blue icon with the white arrow pointing down, and then click where it says click here to memorize this report. When I click the link, it'll give me a location. I select which report group I want to save it in. In this case, I'll select new report group and then click Save. Okay, so my report has now been memorized. If I go back to my Reports tab, and then My Memorized Reports, I should see it here now. I have a new report group and the timesheet summary by date range, which has been memorized to that group. Now, to remove this memorized report, you can just open up the report again, go back to that blue icon with the white arrow, and then click the link where it says click here to remove the memorized report, and now it's unmemorized. If I go back to Reports, My Memorized Reports, and it's no longer here. The next tab we'll see here is the System Reports. The System Reports is going to be your primary hub for reports here in IPM. Here you can view existing reports and even create your own custom reports. On the sidebar, we'll see the different report categories. The first one we'll see is Personal Reports, and here you'll see My Timesheet related reports as well as other miscellaneous reports. These two reports here under My Timesheet reports are pre-filtered to show information only for that current user that is logged into IPM. For example, if I go into timesheet detail, it will only pull time entries that I've entered here in IPM because I'm the one that's currently logged in. Someone else logs in, opens up this report, they'll see only their time entries because it's pre-filtered to show only their information. The next one is the Client Reports. The Client Reports is going to include primarily information about your clients here in IPM. Staff information reports primarily include information about your staff members here in IPM. Master Client Reports, that's the same as your Client Reports tab. Basically, these are just additional area or additional category for client reports. Time and expense detail. These reports include information about your time and expense entries, invoicing, work in progress, and AR details here in IPM. Engagement management reports. These reports include information about engagements here in IPM. And then you have your system management reports. And these reports can contain any custom or manually placed reports. Next, we have a link to the custom report wizard where you can create a custom report and then save it to one of these categories that you see on the left-hand side here. The custom report wizard is also available accessible through the Create Custom Report tab. Before we create a custom report, I want to show you how to use an existing report and how to modify that report as well. So let me navigate over to the time and expense detail category and then open up one of my custom reports. As you can see from the toolbar, there are several components to the reports here in IPM. The first icon is the live data view, which gives you a up-to-date view of the data that's on the report. It sort of acts like a refresh button. The next icon is the print report to PDF, which basically takes this report and creates a PDF copy of the report, so that way you can print it or send it to the printer or attach it to an email if you like. The next one is the export report to Excel. Again, just takes the data that's on the screen and exports it to a Excel file. The next icon that we have on the toolbar is the Edit Report Settings icon, which allows you to add and remove columns from your report. When you click the icon, it'll open up the Edit Settings wizard, which you'll see the available fields that can be added to your report. From the Available Fields section, use the drop-down menu to select a field category. Depending on the type of template that you're using or the type of report that you use, these categories here will be slightly different. On this particular template, I have transaction details, client information, team members, staff information, and category. Okay, to add a field to a report, simply highlight the field under the Available Fields section and then click Add Field. That'll move it over to the selected fields. To remove it, simply highlight it again under Selected Fields and then click Remove. Once you've added your desired fields or the field that you want to see on your report, you can use your sorting buttons on the right-hand side to arrange those fields that you've selected. You can determine the order that they will appear on the report by simply highlighting it and then moving it up and down on the report. Then click Next. Next, we have your sorting and grouping options. The settings that we set here will dictate the grouping and the sorting for the report view. To group by a certain field, simply highlight it under Available Fields and then click Add Field. To remove the field from the Group By section, highlight the field and then click Remove. On the Group By section, for this particular report, I'm going to go ahead and group by client name and then staff member. The additional settings that we have here is include headers. If you want to include headers on the report, in this case, my headers will be the client name and the staff member. If you want headers, check Include Headers. If it's a report that will have totals and you want to include subtotals, check the box next to Include Subtotals. The next one is Create Step Report. Basically what that would do is, since I'm sorting by client name and staff member, I'll have the client's name first. Underneath that, I'll have the staff member's name, which will be indented underneath the client name, and then I'll have the information underneath the staff member's name. For example, it would look like this. I have the client name, and then indented underneath that, I have the staff member's name. And then underneath that, I have the indented is the actual time entry. The next one is the Hide Single Item Subtotals. If the subtotal includes only one line item, then it will not display if that item is checked. One last thing about this step number 3 here is that you don't have to select a field to group your information on your report. You can actually leave this group by blank. When you do that, still generate the report. It just won't have the headers on your report, and it'll look something like this. I still have the same information here, sorted actually by client name on the left-hand side. I just don't have those headers that we were seeing before. So again, this is just an option. If you want to group the information on the report, you add the field over to the group by. If you don't want it to group, you can just leave it blank. The next step is step number 4, which is the report criteria. And these options here dictate the interactive and the sorting options on the report. The first thing we'll see here is the selection option. Underneath that, we have select a client. And what that does, it creates a drop-down box on the report that will allow you to select a client or a single client to be displayed on the report. The next one is select a master client, which does the same thing as select a client option. The next one is select a staff member. This one here gives me a drop-down box so I can select a single staff member to be displayed on the report. If I select a staff member, basically what that's going to look like is, this is a report where I've selected select a staff member option. And when I run the report, it gives me a drop-down box here of all of my staff members that I can run the report for. The next option is the input date default, or the date range selection, I'm sorry. For this particular report, my only option is the input date default, which is going to give me a from and a to date range. Other options that you may see here, again, it depends on the type of report that you create or the type of report that you're in. Other options will look like this. You may have the no user specified dates, which is basically just going to remove the date range from the report. The next one is the user specified start date, which is just going to give you a start date field. And then the last one is a user specified date range, which will give you a from and a to date range on the report. Next, you can choose whether you would like to restrict access to the report. If you choose restrict access, you can do so by client or project. Project access is the same as client access, and you can restrict access by staff as well. The next section is the custom criteria section, where you can build report filters based on any of the fields that you've selected for the report. For each filter that you select, we'd have to select an operator and manually enter a value. Under the field section, we have a drop-down list which will show all of the fields that you've added to your report, and you can create a filter on any one of these fields. The next one is the operator drop-down list, which gives you a list of all the operators that are currently available on the report. The next one is the value field, where you would manually type in whatever you want that value to be. For this particular report, I have 3 filters. First one is the invoice status equals no. Basically, I'm telling the report here to only show the WIP or the time entries that have not been invoiced yet. The next one is the submission status, and the submission status must equal yes. And that's telling the system to only show time entries that have been submitted here in IPM. The next one is the no charge equals no. Again, we're telling IPM to only show time entries that are not considered no charge items. The next section is the filter criteria combinations. This section here, it can be used to group the filters that you create above, to group those filters and then to optimize the results that you get on your report. Each one of these filters, they're invisibly numbered from top to bottom. So we have line number 1, line number 2, and then line number 3. If I jump back down to my combination section, I'm basically telling the system or telling IPM to, if line number 1 and line number 2 and line number 3, if those items all are true, then display that information on the report. Another example would be if I wanted line item number 1 and line item number 2 or line item number 3. If those items were true, then display that on the report. And my filter combination would look like this. It would be if line 1 and 2 or 3 were true, then display that on the report. All right, let me change this back to what I had before. And then once you've made your selections on step number 4, click next. The final screen of the report wizard is the Save Preview Your Report screen. The first item we'll see there is your report category. And this is where you tell the system or tell IPM where you want to save this report. You have your different report categories: personal reports, client reports, staff information, and so on. When you go to save your report to one of these categories, you can't click on the category name, so you have to select one of the items underneath that category. For example, if I wanted to save this report under personal reports category, I'd have to select either my timesheets, my expenses, or other. The next one is your report title, where you can give your report a title. The next field is the description, where you can describe the report however you like. Under the description field, we have a link to adjust additional settings. First thing we'll see there is update billing rates automatically when you run this report. If billing rates are applicable and they've been added to the report, each time, if this box is checked, each time you run the report, it'll automatically update those billing rates. The next one is your PDF settings, and it's your page break. The page break, you'll have a drop-down box where you can select an item on which the PDF page breaks when you print the report to PDF. For this report, the only option I have right now is just client name. So it'll page break after each client name. Your other options are preview now to preview the report on the screen, save the report, and next. Okay, so we've talked about how to edit a report and how to add additional categories to the report. The next thing we want to talk about is how to edit the columns in that report. To do that, you go to edit column/sorting. When you click it, you're going to get a view of that report where you can modify the columns. To modify a column, just click on the name. You're going to get this little drop-down box here. To change the label, simply just type in the new name in the label field. For this one here, I'm just going to call it staff. There's a format field. Currently, that is not being used. I recommend not using this field here. The next field is where you can modify the width for that column. This column, I'm going to go ahead and increase that to 200, not 2,000, 200. The next items here are your orientation. Right now, it's set to display everything on the left-hand side. So I have my column, my label, as well as the information in that column is displayed on the left. If I wanted to move it over to the right or have it display on the right, I'd click on the right button. See how it moves the label and the information over to the right? If I wanted to center that information, I'd click on the center button. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at center and then close this here. Another thing that you can do here on this screen is you can add headers for your columns. You can add a header for just one column, or you can have the headers span over multiple columns by clicking on the green arrow here. And for this header, I'm going to have it span over these 3 columns here. I'm going to call this here header. And let me go ahead and save this information and we'll see what that looks like. So I hit save. So now if I go back to my report, my staff member column is now called just staff, and the label as well as the information in that column is all centered. And my new header that I created is now spanning over these 3 columns here: input, category, and total. One other thing I want to show you here is how to sort the information that's on the report. If I go back to edit column and sorting, and to sort the information, you click on this icon here, the edit sort order. Using the drop down menus from top to bottom, choose the report categories in which you want to sort the information by. The first one obviously is the first sort category, and for this report I'm going to go ahead and sort it by staff member. And of course the second one is the second sort category, and so forth. Once you've made your selections, click save. On the right hand side as well, there's by default it sorts the information in ascending order. If you want to sort that information on the report in descending order, just check the box next to the field. I'm going to go ahead and click save here, and then click save again. Now my report is now sorted by staff member in ascending order. Okay, the next icon I want to talk about is the copy report icon. Basically what that's going to do, it's going to create an exact copy of the report that you're in. When you click on the icon, it's going to take you into the report wizard, where you can either keep the existing categories that are in the report, or you can remove categories or add additional categories to your new report. It takes you through the wizard again. If I hit next, all this information is what came over from the original report. I can set up my grouping here if I like. Hit next again, and these are the filters from the original report, which they're going to be on this report as well. You can modify these if you like. Hit next, and when you get to the final screen where you can save the report, you see that it adds a word copy to the end of the name. Well, here's where you can change the name of the report if you like. You can type in the new name for your new report and then hit save. The next icon is the delete report. Basically that just deletes the report. If you want to remove a report from IPM, just click that icon. You'll get a little confirmation screen asking you, are you sure you want to delete it? If you're sure, just go ahead and click OK. And the next icon is the edit user access rights. Here's where you can grant access or dictate who can and who cannot see the report. Right now, I believe the only ones that are in use is the administrator and all staff. The other fields are currently not being used in IPM. The next icon we want to talk about is the more reporting options. Under more reporting options, you're going to find additional options that may or may not already be found on the toolbar, as well as the memorize report function, which we talked about earlier in the recording. For this particular report, my additional option is I have some additional date range selections that I can choose from. The options that are listed here is determined by the type of report that you're in. Some other options that I may see here will be the option to hide inactive clients, to hide inactive engagements or completed engagements, additional date range selections, and then client selections as well. To close this box, just click on the icon again, the hide advanced options, and it'll close that box for you. The next icon we have is the refresh icon. Of course, that just refreshes the report. If you make any changes to like your date range, you will have to refresh the report in order to see that information. Out to the far right, we have the view field definitions, and this screen gives you a list of all the categories that have been added to your report, and it gives you a brief description of what makes up that category. Right, you can print this list or this screen if you like to your PDF, and to go back to the live data or go back to your report, click on the live data view. Well, that concludes the demonstration on the Intuit Practice Management reporting. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 1-800-445-1882 and press option 2 for support. All right, thank you and have a nice day.